to us, Craig.
Yeah, speak to us, Craig.
Oh, what would you like me to say?
Okay, you're broadcasting throughout the room, which is a packed house. You missed a good one here.
Now I know what you sound like when you lie. I'm glad I'm not there for the packed house.
Yeah, it's hopping.
Yeah, it's almost like the POS meetings.
Those are packed houses. I haven't been to a couple. I've been either out of town or sick, but I do actually like coming to them. Oh, yeah, those are contentious.
Been getting threatening.
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong.
He was upset.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible.
What happened?
She's been getting threatening letters from over the oil and gas stuff.
It's all over.
You can't change the ordinance. I mean, they can't be grandfathered. They're all grandfathered in. Even if they change the ordinances, they're grandfathered in. There's nothing you can do about it.
Those welfare people over there.
Oh. I don't even want to go there because
I know who it is.
she just gets riled up by the people around her. Well, that's terrible.
I'm the only one that told the truth.
Hey, I spoke up. I told the truth. No, and they could go up to courthouse and find out.
Yeah.
Why lie? Why lie? But yet everybody else was shut up. But the ones that didn't say yeah.
Oh, they're chicken. Mm-hmm. All right, we got a gavel.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, I don't know whether Jack's ready, but we're going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Here. Sorry.
Mrs. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Roach?
Here,
Mrs. Barney?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Durig?
Here.
Solicitor Seymour?
Here.
Mr. Lennon Jr.?
Here.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 18th, 2024 minutes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Lennon, engineers report, please.
Okay, engineers report. Everybody has a copy of the report in their packet. First, on page 1, the Village of Lawrence, the collection system contract. They're working on punch list items. We're meeting with them, I believe that's tomorrow or Thursday, that we're going to go over the paving quantities so we can get those costs ironed out. I'm hoping to get them closed out here pretty soon, except for the punch list items. They have been doing some of the grass repair. They've had landscapers out. They haven't completed the concrete driveway repair. I do know Mike's been getting some pretty vocal complaints, follow-up, so we've been issuing punch list letters every other week with what the updates are. So we're going to stay on them at this point. But they did submit partial payment number 13, an amount of $74,366.76. We did recommend approval of that by motion. That is on the agenda before.
And no punch list items are included in that dollar
Oh,
amount?
no, we're holding a lot of retainage at this point.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for. One. So retainage on the sewer contract right now is $254,000, and right now it's a 5.9 mil, it's actually a $6 million contract, $5,999,000. And right now we're at work complete, $5,060,000. So we're well under contract value. Under the treatment plant contract, so work completed in the last month, the SBR UV handrail and stairs are working inside the tanks, got the aeration equipment installed. Some of the electrical components that they're projecting for September showed up on site. So they're working on the electrical work. The one thing, though, that is hanging out there is West Penn Power, and I've been working with Mike on West Penn Power. Just now they need updated easements, they want exhibits, stuff that was never discussed 4 years ago during the project. So these changes they've been making in the field. But they did submit, we do recommend partial payment number 13, amount of $459,241.67. We recommend approval of that.
Will that push us out much on the timeline?
West Penn Power, potentially. With the
30
schedule
days, 60 days? Do we know?
From the schedule they submitted to date, I don't believe it'll push that schedule.
Okay.
It depends on how fast West Penn can get out there and work. So once we get through this easement part, we'll pin them down for a schedule. What the preliminary indications were, they were gonna be able to do it quickly because they did recognize that this project was discussed 4 years ago, that this new information, we're not at the bottom of the list. They were quote-unquote
Okay,
top of
good.
the list. So we are getting priority from them. Under the contract amounts to $13.2 million. Work performed to date, we're at the $8 million mark now, so about 67%, and then, or less than 67%, and retainage at 5%, $403,000, so with that payment tonight. We also have Penvest payment request number 14, amount of $558,910.78, and that's included as attachment A to the report. The only other item we had for development-wise, we did have a planning module sewage generation estimate for a pickleball facility on Mayview Road. It was a pretty high number, so we did include a tap fee in there. The letter's in your packet. And I did see an email back today. It looks like they lowered their sewage estimates, so we'll take another look at that. For this type of thing, we typically recommend if you do a lower tap fee, that we'll accept it, but with the understanding after 12 months full occupancy, we'll go back, look at the numbers, and adjust based on if it's over or under based on that. With it being a pickleball facility, that's a hard one to pin one down, because I don't know if there's very similar facilities that we could find.
Seem relatively high on their projected usage, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Pickleball facility.
Would you go by parking lot slots?
Well, they went by, they have, it looks like there's a bunch of pickleball courts, then there's some offices, and it looks like a little cafe, locker room. They have locker rooms. So they based it based on occupancy inside the building, which is pretty typical. The revision today, then they revised it for based on pickleball users. I just saw it when I was driving. I probably shouldn't have been reading it while I was driving, but.
But would the cafe be open to the public? There's, it's a
That I'm not sure, Mike.
RDC
I don't know,
park?
they didn't give me a lot of detail on it yet. Like you said, again, it was more or less, this is the third engineer, but this is the furthest we've gotten with the group that's with it now. When this first started, they sent me over a letter, hey, we're putting a pickleball facility in, and we're good to go. Well, no, I need to know what you're doing here. You need to show me a bunch of stuff. So I went back and forth with the engineer that was there. She left. Then it was dumped on somebody else. I had some correspondence with him, and then that was the end of it with him. It got pushed to the third one. So, like I said, we're a lot further than we were with the other two. So, like I said, I'm assuming it would be open to the public. They would, I mean, that's what you'd want to generate, even if they're not playing pickleball, to try to, whatever. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. I just want to make sure that we have everything in place. So,
Yeah, and with restaurants, you look at like seating capacity inside and the type of restaurant, and you can look at similar facilities. This is such a unique one that, yeah.
From what I know, I don't think they're going to do any cooking there.
Oh.
I think it's all food that is brought in, as far as that's what they were saying at the BOS meeting. I don't think it's going to be a full-blown restaurant that you can go there and I think
Kinda
it's
like a
going to be
snack
more
bar.
like
Yeah.
pizza and hoagies, and this is what it started out to be. Now, if they change their mind, who knows? But it looks like it's gonna be one heck of a facility over there.
But it's just important that we know, because if they are going to be doing cooking, then that puts in, do they have to have grease traps and things like that? Because we don't want to end up with a problem there. So, they have to make sure they spell it out for us so we can do our due diligence and make sure that it's done properly.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
that's the
they'll just
reason
have
why-
machines or something.
Right. That's the reason why I said it, is because that was one of the things that they presented to us at the BOS meeting, stating that there's not going to be any cooking. However, whoever's going to get the contract for bringing pizza and hoagies or so on, but who knows, that could change also.
And if they're cleaning dishes and stuff, it still might be discussed grease trap. So we need to nail down the use. But for this purpose, it's for sewage planning for DEP, but we'll have to work out technical details before they do connect. So,
Okay, good.
all right,
That's it?
that's it.
All right, so, pertinent to contract number 2017-06, rebid of construction of sanitary sewers and appurtenances, I need a motion to approve partial payment number 13 in the amount of $74,366.76.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Pertinent to contract number 21-STP1, rebid of Village of Lawrence sewage treatment plant. Do I hear a motion to approve partial payment number 13 in the amount of $459,241.67?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to approve Penvest payment requisition number 14 in the amount of $558,910.78?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Larry?
Well, there is the last bullet there too about the
I'm
list of
sorry.
properties draft notice. So the portion of the Lawrence customers on the new sewer system that can discharge now, that would go to the old plant, Teodori. We do have that list. We did prepare a draft letter for the authority to notify those customers they can connect now for board discussion on how, if you're okay with the letter, and then I guess one question would be, how long do you want to give them to connect? So if you want to put a time frame on that. So,
That's your homework.
yep.
Oh, it's homework, okay.
That's your homework for next month, to
Okay.
think about it, and
Okay.
any questions you have, you can reach out and let us know. But that's just, so it's in front of you that there are customers that can tap in,
Yeah.
and that's the
Yeah,
draft
I guess
letter, if we want to tweak it or do whatever. That's why I wanted to get it out to everybody. Larry sent it over, and I forwarded it to you, and
Very good.
Have we done a limit on tie-in in the past, on days? Have we done a limit on duration before? We've done this before,
The
right?
last project you would have done would have been Miller's Run. That predates me.
I'm going to have to find out. That's one of the things I'll ask Walt. I can't remember. I know I've seen some places, they'll give them 6 months. Some place will give them a little bit longer. It all depends. So, I mean, I'm going to try to see what we did on the Miller's Run project.
Does this one in particular take us out of a time schedule that we'll need for converting Teodori plant to something else? So we need to tie in a specific timeline?
No, I don't think that should affect it one way or the other, because we have the capacity there now, so it's
For
it's
this
going
number
to,
of
when
customers,
they're doing the conversion, they'll start, so, and it'll still be somewhat live while they're converting it, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Are they aware of the tie-in fee? Are they expecting this letter to come in and they have understanding of what the cost is? I read the letter, it seemed to be fine, but
Okay.
it's like $4,500. Do they know that's coming?
When we had the public meeting, there was good attendance at the, what was that, the community center there in
Civic
Lawrence?
Center,
The Civic Center. We did bring up the tap fee.
Okay.
So they were,
But we
This
brought
is a
up the tap
reality.
fee, but not for existing customers. So I think that's where we have to do our homework and decide.
Existing,
They don't pay.
the existing customers that currently have service, they're not affected by this.
Right.
So this is just for new customers that did not have service that will be tying in.
Okay.
They just flow to the old plant site. They'll go through a new pump station, these new customers. Part of the sewer system, because of the way the elevation's laid out, they actually flow towards the old plant. So we'll pump them to the new plant, but they are new customers.
Okay.
This list, yeah.
I did not digest everything that you sent. Was part of that map? Part of, okay.
There was a map that showed all of the homes.
It
It's just-
shows the areas that'll gravity feed that can tie in now. That's what the map shows.
Okay.
And then it's the list of who can.
Okay.
So, and then it might be worthwhile, once we decide that we're going to do this, probably to have just another public meeting, just to say, hey, it's coming, and we can go from there. But let's just get through, make sure the letter is good, everything's squared away, and we have everything organized, and then we can go ahead and post the letter. Because I did have a couple inquiries about the USDA grant for the tap-in and the Penvest. A couple residents said they reached out to USDA, and they were told that they have no idea what they're talking about, that there's no such program. So I want to make sure we research that a little bit more, because,
Was that the pamphlets you
Those are the
guys-
pamphlets, yeah, that USDA
Hand out,
published,
okay.
yeah.
yeah, so that's why I want to make sure that we, do our due diligence
It
before.
would be really good to have another round of meetings before this goes out,
Right.
and then even on the website, to just say, hey, notice to a partial list will be going out on this date. If you have any questions at that time, please call or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there any assistance available to some that are on really low fixed incomes to?
So you-
And do we offer that as a consult, or do we have guidance for them to provide that with them?
So that was, USDA and Penvest had two programs for those that qualify for payment of the tap fee, and I believe construction of lateral too, under both of them. But
Okay.
I guess that's
Yeah,
not
like
encouraging
the
that somebody called
Penvest
USDA.
was like
Yeah.
1.7% interest.
Loan, yeah.
Yeah, but the other one was a grant.
I didn't see that in the letter. I don't know if that was in the letter. Maybe
It's on the website, it's probably not in the letter.
I didn't see it in the letter, but I just make sure, because there's some people are going to get a little bit of shock over this, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe some, and I want to make sure that we're not just dropping it on them, and then, like, I want to be able to give them some guidance, and, this is some ways and avenues you have to get through that.
Right. I would say that the majority of the people, and it was a packed house at the Civic Center, they know and understand. But these are this handful of
It's an unusual.
other people that don't know that they need to tap in probably.
Okay.
Yeah, or they're confused that it's two different things, because I think some of them will think that the tap-in includes the lateral, which that's a separate item. So, like I said, we'll have to do some clarification on that, but I just want to make sure that both of those funding mechanisms are still in place, because I don't want to be saying, hey, you can do this, and then, they're going to this site, and now all of a sudden USDA, oh, we don't do this anymore. So it's just, we got to make sure that that's good to go.
The only thing they get for this money is a bill. That's it. Or, that's all they get for this. There's no pipes, there's
But
no
they get
connection. They
a
get a connection.
safe environment.
Right.
And their property values go up.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
That's it? So, okay, so we will do our homework, we'll discuss it next meeting, and we will set up that. In fact, I will call the people who are in charge of booking that and look for some dates after our meeting.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Now over to Ms. Seymour for the solicitor's report.
I submitted a written report. It's in your packet. I don't really have anything too new to discuss. I think everything's been going along. Mike keeps me advised of, Ramel and I advised of any ongoing issues, and I think unless there's any questions, I don't really have anything specific.
Okay. All right, thank you. Business manager's report, Mr. Erg.
Okay, your month's packets included the financial reports for May 2024. Are there any questions?
No, just a comment that we are still doing well to budget.
Okay.
That's very positive.
All right. Your packets also include a copy of the 2023 audit reports for your review. Mr. Turnley will be attending our August meeting to go over his findings and to answer any of your questions that you have. A debt service payment for the series of 2017 bonds was due on July 15th. I made the payment on July 8th in the amount of $220,400.59. I also included a copy of that transaction in your packets. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Durg? Thank you. Authority Managers Report, Mr. Stranchek?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Part of the evening that everybody doesn't look forward to, but I have a few items to go over, but I actually have some progress on the old business items. The NPDES permit renewals for Miller's Run, Teodori, and Cherrybrook have all been submitted to DEP. I was able to find out a little bit of information on what's going on with them. All are under technical review currently, and estimated completion is 11/15/24 for Cherrybrook. It's been under review for 151 business days. Miller's Run is 8/6/24, and that's been under review for 224 business days. And then Teodori is due for completion on 11/18/24, and that's 150 business days. It's been under review. Probably by the time we get the new permit, it'll be taken offline. So that's where we're at, but at least I have some information. It's no change, so at least we know where we're at with it. Silver Creek, they are putting together, the contractor's putting together a request for consideration of the piping to be used. My understanding is that they're close to finishing it, and they will be forwarding on to LSSE and myself for review. Once we're able to look at that, I can provide more information to the board.
Is this the one that has a different type of pipe they want to use?
Yeah, they want to use the SDR 26 instead of the ductile in areas that are not fill areas. They're saying where it's not near a fill area, it would, according to them, it's just as good as the ductile, but we're going to take a look at it. I mean, the worst that happens is they ask for consideration, and if it doesn't, we just say no. So. Finally, the maintenance bond issue with Traditions of America Phase 5 has been resolved. We received the bond on 6/28/2024. Probably with the fact that I said no more taps will be issued for any phases until we get this bond, it showed up. But we already did the conditional approval of accepting this phase upon receiving the bond, so that phase is closed out. So that's one less thing we have to worry about there. So the next thing will be they're going to want to move with phase 6 and 7. Gerber Collision, they submitted their drawings. Revised comment letter was sent out. We're still waiting on a response. LNS Wastewater contacted the authority about the possibility of taking over the Monaco plan. I received a phone call from co-owner Jack Lang to discuss the letter that was sent out. There were some questions on that. After we spoke, he understands what's needed, so he is in the process of gathering the information that we requested. Once I receive that letter, we'll review it, and I'll give a presentation to the board. He did tell me that their NPDES permit has been renewed, and it is in the advertising stage of the process. Flow metering equipment that was included in the capital budget for this year, it has arrived, so now I'm working to schedule the installation. Item 7, annual maintenance for the standby generators was completed, but during this, they said there were going to be some items that needed to be done for next year because the units are getting older, and they're not part of new or routine maintenance. So the additional maintenance items, which included batteries for the generators and the transfer switches and the hoses for the units. The cost for Maple Ridge Pump Station is $364.46. Miller's Run Pump Station is $367.46. The South Point Pump Station is $918.44. And the Miller's Run Treatment Plant is $367.46. Total cost for everything is $2,020.82. They did send me contracts to sign. This would be completed in May of 2025, whenever they come out to do the annual service. So we have time to budget for it, but I just wanted to let everybody know that we can lock in those prices now, and that's where we're at with that. So, but it's good because the batteries last, 3 to 5 years, so we're approaching the 5-year mark on them, so we want to make sure those stay running. So it's all part of maintenance. It's not like we have to do it every year, so. Number 8, number 2 pump station at Miller's Run was removed and sent out for repair. We're still waiting for that to come back. Number 2 pump at Cherry Brook was also having issues. The repair has been completed, and they are going to schedule the delivery for this week. Item 10 is the 19 Mayview Road is being subdivided for a pickleball facility. Larry had touched on that. We got a letter this evening, as he said. We'll review that and get back to them. So that's moving along. Item 11, Maple Ridge Pump Station was having various control issues with the panel board. Ram Industrial, who provided the control system, was out to help me diagnose it. We discovered that the pump controller went into adaptive learning mode, and for some reason, even when you cycled the power, it would not let it come back out, and it would just continue to stick in that mode. They brought a spare unit, installed it, took the controller back to the shop to evaluate. Everything's working as normal. Everything looks good there. This station now is about 15 years old, so the unit that's in there for the pump controllers is a little more complicated than we need. So at some point in time, if we consider doing any upgrades there, I'd like to look at going with a different style controller that's not as difficult to maintain and diagnose and program. Also, we found out that the call-out times were set to the factory defaults of 3 seconds. So as soon as an alarm tripped, whether it was a good alarm or not, it started dialing. So we're sending people out for no reason. So what we did is we set the alarms to allow the condition to correct itself if it's a fluke thing before it calls out, to prevent any unnecessary calls. So far, so good. It seems like everything is working as it should now, so we'll keep an eye on that. Item 12, we talked about the healthcare renewal, which is due up for next month. We wanted to go out and get quotes. I did receive a quote from MEIT just to compare from our current broker. The MEIT quote will allow us to offer both UPMC and Highmark to our employees at the same coverage that we currently have, but we would be paying about 12% less than what we currently pay. I recommend, if everything is good, I have a call with Tammy from MEIT tomorrow. I recommend switching to them to save on the health care. It's a no-brainer because, like you said, again, if you have doctors at UPMC and you want to go there, now you have that option, so people have a little bit more flexibility. And then an update on the road name consideration request for the Klinger Road Pump Station. Attached to your report, you'll see a map that shows Klinger Road. You'll see in blue, that is the common area of the driveway for 9 Klinger Road, the house, which would be 140-007-09-01-0018-00. So what I have to do is see if there's some sort of easement agreement or if they wrote something up for that, to see how that plays out. But you can see that the other 2 parcels there, they are owned by the authority, but it's not one parcel. So I'm not sure what they did there with that. I know there's an agreement somewhere that I have to dig through. The biggest thing is going to be is how does that common driveway affect if we change this road, because that's 9, that would be considered 9 Klinger Road, that house there. Chris, I don't know if you have any input on that or what your thoughts with.
I know that, I think that kind of request would have to go through the township. I know that, for example, when I condemned the treatment plant site, I had to work with Dawn to get a physical address for that. And because it's linked, you know, the address, if it's going to change, if the name's going to change, and the township's going to have to be involved for like public health and safety reasons, like the 911 and all that, and that's not in our power, and nor is it a power that's called out in the Authorities Act that we have, that we can name streets and that. I mean, I think it's something we're going to have to work with the township with.
I mean, as far as my thought on it, what I'm saying here, you know, I mean, we can give a letter of support, you know, saying that we don't have a problem renaming it, you know, but I don't know if legally we can, but I want to find that to see if there's an agreement. Calabrese, I think, is the name of the property owner there, so I want to try to see if I can find.
Oh, it's not even a Tisher?
No, that's who owns that property, so that's what I got to try to see what's going on there, but that's kind of where we're at, but I didn't, you know, I knew their driveway was there, but that's what we want to see, if there's an easement, and I got to dig in the records and see what's there, so, but that's kind of where we're at, so.
It's hard to see on here, but does that road from Klinger continue on through, I guess, what the sewage property is?
No, it just basically, that's the driveway that gets down to the sewage property.
I
After
mean,
that,
but
it does not go
continues past
through.
this blue right here.
Right, that's
It
all.
goes right down to the
Right,
sewer.
I just circled the blue because you can see where the driveway turns into 9 in blue, Klinger Road, so they would have to have an easement to access through our property. So there had to be some sort of an agreement or something along those
Does that
lines.
street already have a name?
That's what I was going to say. Does it
Never had
already
a
have a name?
They consider the pump station 11 Klinger Road. They consider that house 9 Klinger Road. And then I think the house here, Darlene, that's your 7. So I don't know if they actually gave that name or that road a name, or if they
Have
just.
been accurate for that house.
You know,
But they're
I
otherwise
believe that,
land.
It's the
I
mailbox
recall
is
working on
actually
an
down on
easement
their
agreement
driveway.
Okay.
for this. Like, I know one exists. Like,
Okay.
I remember working on it. We actually met with them.
So what is our action here? To go to the township with this, or?
I think, Mike, you still have some homework you want
Right.
to do. So maybe continue your data mining, and then next month come back with your
That's why I
findings,
said-
and
I
then.
suggest just till next month, let me do a little bit of research, because I think some of it may be in storage down at Miller's Run, but some of it may be boxed up already for the move, so
Right.
I gotta dig through there and see, because I know
Actually,
I've seen it somewhere, I just can't put my finger on where I've seen it. I've seen that folder.
I can
now that
actually
want
get
it-
on, Landex,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm assuming that was recorded. I can pull it for you, Mike.
Okay.
So you don't have to dig through boxes.
But no, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I did follow up, and that's kind of where we're at with that, so I'll keep working away with it, so.
Just so you know, their mailbox, Mike clarified it, is not on Klinger. Their mailbox is at the end of their driveway. So it's up the lane. So their mailbox, you know, I don't know if that means anything, but just so you know.
I mean, I think it's kind of wrong altogether.
Yeah,
Township
it's
needs to fix it
strange.
anyway.
It's strange the way that was. I'm surprised that they didn't want that to be given a separate name when that was all done, just due to the fact that that really isn't Klinger Road, or if they would have called it Klinger Road Extension, something like that. But like you said, it's just, you know, really, if that house wasn't there, that would have been just a private driveway for us. But I think with the house in there, that puts a little bit of a different animal on there on the spin of it.
Yes, and that house came in way after the fact. That house has only been there probably, I don't know, maybe 3 years.
But that's why I'm thinking that's where it poses a little bit different. If it was just the road coming down there that's ours and the pump station with nothing there, I think it'd be a little bit clearer.
Easier.
Yeah, but with that there, I don't know what's for sure, but I'll do my due diligence, but I wanted to give everybody an update.
But I think there's a lot of the little lanes and names of streets that is not included in our addresses, just like mine. Mine's 1943 State Route 980, but I live on Jamie Lane.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lane goes all the way, how many houses are on Jamie Lane? Nobody uses Jamie Lane as an address. It's State Route 980, and it's 5 mailboxes right along 980.
Because they deliver to right there.
Right.
But what if there was a
And that's what
911
they do
call
here.
on one of those other 5 houses?
What's that?
I said, what if there was a 911 call on one of those?
They
other-
all have box number. I mean, they all have box numbers.
Yeah, but
They
you
all
wouldn't know
have-
where the house is at.
Not a
I'm
physical
1943,
location, but
the
Amazon
trailer's
deliveries.
1941.
Yeah.
What's that?
How do you get your Amazon deliveries?
Oh, they come, they know exactly where to come. Not only Amazon, but Home Depot, everybody.
All right, well,
DoorDash.
we know this is not in our territory, so you do your due diligence, and we will give a recommendation, but the township needs to handle this one.
All right, I'll keep moving forward with it. All right, moving forward under new business, the 2014 F-150 had a transmission line fail. I had to have it towed to Valley Tire for repairs. Apparently, this is a common issue with these vehicles, so I'm having them both replaced. This way, I don't run into this problem again. It's a coupling, it's a plastic coupling that just breaks at some point in time, so we'll get that resolved. Item 2, Tim Endler from PennDOT contacted me regarding the maintenance bond that the authority currently has on Georgetown Road for the Lawrence project. They're going to be requiring us to make base repairs to various places on Georgetown Road that were damaged. According to them, they're going to mark it out sometime this week, and then they'll be contacting us with the areas once completed so we can take the appropriate action. According to him, because I asked him, what about all the other vehicles that travel this road? You know, why is it just us? He kind of said because we took a bond out, it kind of flags us. The other ones are considered local deliveries, so they're exempt. So,
Well, let me ask this question. Is there a timeline on it? Because we know that the township supervisors are going to work with us to have in their next year's budget a repaving of Lawrence, fix those roads, whatever. Can we tie it in with that?
I think this is PennDOT itself. PennDOT's going to page Georgetown Road, so this isn't going to tie in with the township.
So the
this
township
is-
will only be
Right,
going.
and the only thing
like,
that.
Back road, the back
The only thing they're
streets.
requesting from us is base repair.
Okay.
So, but he did say that they take PennDOT, or PennDOT takes video as soon as the maintenance bond is issued. So once I receive the damaged areas, I'll review, pass it on to Larry and see what we can come up with. But again, this is a question is, again, we're not the ones that delivered on that. Should the contractors have some stake in this? Because they're the ones that were driving the trucks in and out. So that's a question to be had. Like you said, I was totally taken back when he called me. I was kind of caught off guard. So that would have been nice to know, because then we could have made sure we did video as well, you know, to offset, to say, hey, this, you know, compare. But I'll give everybody an update once I know more. David Calderon with KLH contacted me again regarding the Mount Pleasant Township Municipal Authority project to provide public sewer for approximately 100 homes in the Southview Antill area of Mount Pleasant Township. We have scheduled a tentative meeting for August 1st to discuss, to see what they're looking to do, and see if there's anything that the authority can even be involved with. Item 4, I mentioned that we had a problem with a lateral at 235 Sir Patrick Drive. There was approximately a 60% blockage in the pipe between the Y and the Site T, which is the responsibility of the authority. We did have Robinson Pipe come out and televise the lateral, and the area was damaged like we thought. But I had to make sure that we did it, not on the homeowner's word. What it looks like happened is when that pipe was when everything was being connected, it looked like the contractor snagged the pipe and bent it, and that's what caused the defect in the pipe. Repair was made by Stewart. It's all taken care of. The only thing is to do the final landscaping, but with it being so dry, I really don't want to do anything with it, because I don't want to go back out there 2 and 3 times, and I kind of want it to settle so they do it right the first time. Item 5, we had a problem with the equalization pump control panel at Cherry Brook wastewater treatment plant. We were able to get it resolved, but this panel is 30 years old and definitely will need to be upgraded. Equalization pump number 1 may need to be repaired, but we're diagnosing it at this time. These pumps are also 30 years old, but I know we applied for a grant to do some work over there, so I don't want to jump the gun for right now. But I did find out when I responded to the alarm at this facility, the outdoor lighting is insufficient and needs to be addressed, as it is a safety issue having to work there at night, because when I came out there to do this, I had to actually work by flashlight because the outdoor lights do not light up on the building. So, and the interior lights also could use an upgrade. As inexpensive as LED lighting is, this is probably something that, as the year goes on, if we see there's money left in the budget, this is something that we can just go ahead and do without having to do a long-term plan for it. But it is a safety issue. Item 6, the roof ventilation fans at Miller's Run. I had mentioned this before. At the treatment plant and the pump stations were not working. They're necessary to keep the buildings cool in the blower room area as well as other areas of the building. Well, when we had them looked at, discovered that the 2 main fans had broken pulleys and needed belts, and the other fans needed belts replaced. So everything has been replaced and everything is now operating correctly. The fans on the grit building and the UV building do need service, but I was unable to do anything with it at this time because I have to bring in a JLG lift to access them because where they're at, so that's a little bit more expensive, so that's something that I have to plan to do, so I'm going to get some pricing for that. It was also discovered during the servicing of these units, 2 of the exhaust fans are controlled by monitoring sensors. The fan in the belt filter press area monitors for hydrogen sulfide, and the fan in the garage area monitors for carbon monoxide. Both of these sensors have failed and have been bad for a while, so neither one of the fans will kick on if these sensors aren't any good. So what I'm going to do is take a look at pricing to see if these sensors are still available, or the other option is see if they're obsolete, or depending on price, we may be able to take this monitoring system out and wire these fans in that they can just come on automatically. So I'll have some pricing and point everybody in the right direction with that next month. Miller's Run wastewater treatment plant tank and building lighting is not working. I was at an alarm call out there, and when you get to the plant, there's 2 lights in the entire plant outside that work. So we're trying to diagnose that, so it's to see if it's bulbs, fixture failure, photosensors, or a combination of any of these is the issue. So once I get a report, I'll have that together and I'll make a recommendation at the August meeting. LSSE is sending me an intern out tomorrow to retrieve some of our sanitary sewer drawing maps to start the process of digitizing them so we can start working on the GIS system. So we did budget for this in the capital budget, so that's just some stuff I won't have to move. So that's a good thing, and I won't have to roll up. So that's good timing for that. And then the last item is the server for the Cecil Township Municipal Authority system is going to be 7 years old. They recommend that they're replaced every 5 to 7 years. While we were moving, I just had our IT provider give me a quote to upgrade if it was cost effective. I attached the quote. The quote you'll see reflects taxes, but we are exempt. But the price would be $3,407.12. So it was just a thought while we were doing this. You know,
Has
it
that
might be
already been
worthwhile doing.
purchased? Has it already been purchased?
I didn't purchase it yet.
I'm just wondering, is there something we can do in the cloud? Because you're saying this is a server. These aren't computers.
No, this is the server. This
Yeah.
is.
I mean, I don't know cost effectively whether, a Microsoft product or something might be.
Right, and I think this server is for on-site, but I think it also backs up to the cloud as well. But it was just throwing out the hardware itself because it is getting up there in age.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that, for sure.
Yeah.
But replacement of, could we go 100% cloud-based if that's cost-effective and/or, we have the skill set to do that?
Well, I can ask Joe and see what his recommendations are, but I just wanted to make everybody aware that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was
not
going to
that
be
bad,
a lot more
right.
than what it was, so. But
Right.
it's just information for everybody. And I will entertain any questions that anybody might have at this time.
I'm good, other than the motion we need to make. Bentegration, is that MEIT?
That's their new name.
Okay.
They changed the from MEIT to Benegration.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to authorize change to the Benegration as health insurance policy provider for the Cecil Township Municipal Authority?
I'll make that motion.
Your second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Any review of correspondence?
Yes, we received a note of thanks from Mr. Januso, thanking the board for the recognition of his service to the authority at our June meeting.
Very good, thank you. Okay, do I hear a motion for payment of payroll, employee payroll, E911, tax deposits, employee state payments, and payment of expenses and invoices?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
I take it there's no comments from the floor. Do we need an executive session this evening? No.
I just leave it on there just in case something would show up. And
Check,
if we don't
check.
need it, we don't need it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Roseanne. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Craig. Enjoy the Finger Lakes. Have a glass of wine for me.
You got a pile of checks.
It's actually not that bad this time.
Like, where's Silver Creek Development? Where's that at?
That's off of Rising Road. They're down there by, it's
We
right
need to
by
get
us
stamps.
above the treatment plant.
Okay, that's close enough. I just want to get an idea.
Yep.
And the LNS water,
That-
Monaco plant.
Go
Is that
plant.
outside of Hendersonville?
Yeah, that's up, if you come up Cecil Henderson Road,
How's the business project going?
if you would come up by, past the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
you make the bend there, it's that housing plan right before the forms on this.
Oh, okay.
That's the Monaco plant, yep. For my report.
Well, maybe knock some of those off there.